Gratitude in its most profound form can be a guiding life force. Aiden Hubbard knows better than most. By all accounts, flying an airplane for Jay Usitalo was a sacred endeavor.
It's just, you know how people would go and communicate, pray to God in a quiet place. That was his place, I think.
This is Jay with his wife and his girls. He was always pointing out kind of how small we are, and how beautiful the world is. I think it helped him gain an understanding of goodness in a weird way.
I didn't know the man, but I like to think of him up there, trying to get closer to his God, to something untouchable, searching maybe for a singular moment of perfection and grace. That's him as a boy, building airplanes. His was a flying family. His grandfather took him up as a child, and there was never a question that Jay would soar. And even then, as a kid, he seemed to identify with eagles.
Yeah, he always had this thing about eagles. And as he grew older, that the eagle sort of began to be almost a spiritual thing for him. It was part of being up in the air, it was part of flight, it was part of the freedom.
As a boy, Aiden was drawn to flying too. Sometimes his Uncle Jay, the cool uncle, as he calls him, would take him up.
It was larger than life, I'd say.
And so 3 years ago, when Aiden was living in Cheney and dealing with a bully at school, his Uncle Jay invited him to spend a weekend in Redmond. It was a clear Saturday and the sky was calling. They climbed into Jay's Mall M5, a four-seater, and took off.
It was just peaceful. It was really peaceful. It was just almost we knew where we were meant to be, is what was up there.
Off to the right, less than 200 feet away, they saw something amazing. A bald eagle riding a thermal.
He thought it was almost a connection, a guardian that would be watching over whenever he's flying. He knew that there was a companion with him almost. That happening that day was almost like a sign that somebody was with us.
But 30 minutes into the flight, something changed. The sound of the engine was different.
I didn't know at the time. I think Jay definitely knew that there was something wrong. The plane was getting much louder, the altitude, we were losing altitude. Remember him circling around a lake, and he was telling me stories to try to take my mind off of it, I guess, I think.
He told one story about fishing in the lake with his father-in-law one time. Turns out that never happened.
Did you know?
At the time, no. Until the engine went out, I didn't know.
And you think he was making up stories?
Yeah. To make sure, because he didn't want me to panic.
Aiden had told us that he had said, you know, look, do you see any eagles, Aiden? Is there, you know, what else do you see out there? And he was trying to keep Aiden outwardly focused.
Maybe it was during one of the stories, his mind racing, fighting back his own panic, that Jay reached down and unbuckled his seatbelt. And then the engine seized up and stopped.
You could see the propeller just freeze. It was diagonal. The right side of it was pointing to the right and up, and I remember it vividly, almost. Almost stupidly, I said to my uncle, that wasn't supposed to happen, right? And he said, no, it wasn't. Calm as it was a clear day. He got to work. As soon as it stopped, he did everything he could to start it back up again. He was put the flaps down and then started to waffle the plane. Technique used to gain airspeed to point the nose down and then pull back up to keep lift for as long as possible, messing with mixtures, throttle and whatnot, doing everything he could to start the engine back up. Because if you have no power, no means of gaining airspeed, you have no lift. It was quiet. No sound, you just hear the wind. And that, it's haunting. It's really haunting to hear that. And all you do is just hold on. I remember saying a small little prayer. Not necessarily asking to survive this, but just for things to be okay. Just for that comfort. And it was immediate. I immediately knew that things would be okay. And I didn't know I was going to survive. I didn't know if I was going to walk away. I didn't know if Jay was going to walk away with me. If I survived, I just comforted.
You were at peace.
Yeah, definitely.
Jay saw a field that he thought he could get to, but as they dropped with the engine in front, they couldn't see directly below them.
The last second, a house appeared right in front of us. It wasn't a small house, it was a big house, and we were heading right for it. The last thing I remember is Jay actually jumping and throwing himself on top of me. And the blow that hit him, the blunt force trauma that hit him would have killed me instantly.
Jay Usitalo died on impact, a shield at the end for his young nephew. They found Aiden hanging upside down with a broken back, shattered teeth, traumatic brain injuries with burns and internal damage, but he was alive.
This morning, investigators want to know why this small plane suddenly fell from the sky, slamming into the side of this home just outside Seattle.
The plane, as it was removed, gave twisted, mangled testimony to the enormity of the miracle that had occurred within. A small army of first responders cut Aiden out. He was airlifted to Harborview. The road ahead would be long and painful.
It's not easy to lose a brother and have the miracle of your son being saved in the same moment. But there's not a day that goes by that I'm not grateful, that I don't think of him, that I don't feel him close. There's not a day that I don't feel like he did that with full purpose of heart, knowing that that would be his last act.
There are so many things that Aiden wants to do, not the least of which is to become a pilot, like his Uncle Jay. But first, some unfinished business.
Hey guys.
Hey guys, meet Aiden.
It's been a journey, but thanks to you guys. Seriously.
I guess lastly, Aiden, just, you know, you're gonna be all right after all this?
Yeah. I am.
You got a whole life ahead of you, right?
Yeah. I plan on living it fully, as best as I can.
Profound gratitude as a guiding life force. I didn't know the man, but I know this. At 2:50 in the afternoon on March 9th, 2013, at the very instant that Jay Usitalo fought against the laws of physics and the human instinct of self-preservation to thrust his body on top of Aiden Hubbard as his plane plummeted to the earth, at that instant, he touched something that only a tiny chosen few ever touch, a singular moment of perfection and grace.